Welcome to the Urban Manor Podcast, the voice of interior design. We will be sharing furniture, decor, and accessory ideas, new trends, and DIYs. Let's get started with your host, Keerat Sidhu.
Welcome to the 5th episode of the Urban Manor Podcast. I'm your host, Keerat Sidhu, and I'm thrilled for you to join us on this week's episode as we feature Karina Eskandary from the Cove Group. Karina is a motivated, hardworking, and dedicated individual. Her impeccable work ethic has made her one of the youngest recipients of the President's Award. She's here to share her tips in terms of buying and selling real estate, specifically in the red-hot Toronto condominium market. Karina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Keerat. Thank you so much for having me here today.
It's a pleasure, and I truly want the audience to hear about your background and your experience in the Toronto condominium market. Karina, can you give us the 30-second intro?
So I've been a licensed realtor in Toronto for about 7 years now, and I actually started selling pre-construction for builders. So I used to work on the builder side, selling different projects throughout the city. And from there, I branched off and did resales, which is what I do now, buying and selling homes. But because of my background, I do specialize in pre-construction developments and can advise my clients, knowing the back end of how this works, into what are the best projects and the best investments in the city.
Awesome. Karina, let's get straight into it. What are the two fundamental factors that you look for when deciding what type of style or type of condo to buy or invest in for both yourself and your clients?
So there are a few fundamental factors that come into play when choosing what kind of condo to buy or invest in. But the most important tip that I've beat over the head, I'm going to say it again, is location. Because location is what will determine your exit strategy, your resale potential, as well as your rental yield. And those are the most important things when choosing a great investment. Because in that location umbrella comes amenities, jobs, schools, what kind of tenants you're attracting. And that is ultimately what you want to look for when looking at an investment. You also want to ensure that the product or builder you're buying from has a great reputation and a good track record. And also, are their permits ready, or is your money going to be tied up and nothing's going to come of it? So these are all the things you want to look into before you buy.
Great answer. And I know location and reputation is so crucial in deciding what property to buy or invest in. Please guys, don't overlook these fundamental factors. These will get your best return on money. If you're looking for a place to buy, what's the amenities? Is it easy to commute to and from for work? Is there a school nearby for the kids? And for rental properties, is there amenities? What kind of restaurants? Is there clubs, bars, places to hang out? People don't want to just sit in their rental all the time. They want to explore the amazing opportunities we have here in Toronto, especially in the core where something's happening all the time. And this is where Karina really specializes in pre-construction, using them as investment tools. So Karina, I'm going to ask you how we can use pre-construction condos as ways to build a portfolio, right, and provide true value of real estate.
The thing I love about pre-construction is that it allows people to enter the real estate market without having to take on a mortgage right away. So for those individuals who have some money saved but maybe are not in a position to take on a mortgage, it allows them to purchase with their deposits. So typically that's 20% spread out in about a 1.5 to 2 year interval, depending on the project, which gives people time to save for each payment. And they're growing in equity through that time without ever having to take on the mortgage. So a great example I'd like to use is I remember I was selling a project that was launching in 2014. And at the time, they were selling for $800 a square foot. And I thought people were nuts paying that price. That same project 4 years later was trading at $1,200 a square foot. So that's a great example of how, without ever having to take on a mortgage, how much equity growth you can see. And that's one of the best things about pre-construction. So it's ideal for the people who are in that scenario.
And lastly, Karina, I wanted to ask you about your view on the Toronto market. Where to expect in 2, 5, and even 10 years? Do you have any predictions on development, the types of units to expect, and how will this all impact the growing Toronto population?
Toronto truly is such an amazing city, and what I love about it is that it still has so much room to grow. So I think the skyline is going to look very different in 2 years, 5 years, or even 10 years' time. I do believe the development will continue, and there's a lot more units that we should expect coming our way. There's a need for it, and I see it on my end. I find that a lot of people are seeking a condo alternative. So as the low-rise housing prices just continue to go a little bit out of reach for a lot of first-time purchasers, young couples or families, they're looking for that condo alternative. And in addition, I find that this generation is valuing things like commute time and easy access to amenities over a big house. And that's an interesting trend that I think will continue. I always like to look at cities like New York and Hong Kong, and I do believe Toronto is headed in a very similar direction, and we should expect more high rises and condo buildings to come our way.
Have it, folks. Karina Eskandary, multi-award winning real estate agent, sharing the importance of location, reputation, and how we can purchase pre-construction condos as investment tools. And again, Karina, I want to thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule for being a co-host on this episode. Where can our listeners find out more about your brand and upcoming listings?
You can find me at the Cove Group. So on Instagram, it's at the Cove Group, website www.thecovegroup.ca. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about pre-construction, about the condo market, and how to access some of the most exciting projects in the city if you were thinking that this is the right move for you. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. I really appreciate your love and support. Please subscribe. We're releasing content all the time on our blogs, our website, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as our podcast. We'll be doing another episode coming up next month, and stay tuned.
Urban Manor, contemporary living.